Oh, 12 years.
16 years.
29 years and about a month and 3 days.
Well, next year I think I'll get my 30-year pension.
About 5 years now.
I take pride in my work.
Doing something that's, like I say, the last. Something good. Something you can look at and say, I've done that and it's good, and I know it's good.
Transportation's our lifeline.
The simple act of going somewhere. Men and women on the move, bringing people, towns, and commerce together. Transportation creates a harmony of life. The life of a cowboy is little changed. He still knows the smell of saddle leather, still belongs to the sun and wind, the cattle he tends. The steers come from Texas, New Mexico, Missouri, and even Kentucky. Over 500,000 a year to fatten on Oklahoma's rich pasture land. The industry has grown, had to grow, and grow fast. The answer was on the highway, in the hands of the truckers, bound for the stockyards of the cities. Food for a nation on the move.
Sold at 21.25.
As the plans and dreams of men change, so changes the face of the land. Forest, river, and rolling hills, united by the ever-stretching road. From winter green to spring gold, the grain ripens. From towns like Enid, Woodward, Guyman, and Buffalo, men and machines pour into the fields in a race against time. Truckload after truckload of wheat swell the waiting storage bins. By rail, over the road, across our inland waterways, a sea of motion spreads out to feed the waiting millions. Cattle, wheat, commerce, and the daily business of living. Somehow it must come together. It must bridge the gap of distance, space, and time. The men responsible wear the yellow hard hats.
I imagine anyone would really enjoy watching the bridge being built. But the catch is seeing it's built right.
It's an awesome undertaking, moving the wheels of progress from Broken Bow to Beaver, from Altus to Bonita. It's a job of providing for people's needs, and it must be done with care.
East! Plummet east! I've been at the Highway Department 18 years. The biggest part of it's been spent dealing with survey work and bridge layout work. I like working out of doors. I like being out in the country, especially these river projects. There's something different going on every day. I really like my job.
When you get through it, Edie, you look back and see what you've accomplished. You look forward, you see the many things there is to come in anticipation of building roads. And as you look further back, you see how you build them in as against today and what you look for tomorrow. It's a field of wide open advancement.
It makes a person feel pretty good to make a road that everybody can use, and it's all painted up, and it's doing something for the public and for yourself. You feel a lot better for it.
Some 12,000 miles of highways crisscross Oklahoma. Behind the construction of each mile are the efforts of 1,000 faceless names. Engineers, agronomists, chemists, planners, plotters, computer programmers. Strong arms and sunburned faces belong to the men who make it all a reality.
It's different than other jobs. You don't do the same thing all the time. And
if it looks good, why, that's what we're after, to make the roads better.
I think it's something that we're doing to help the community. It makes me feel good when things are road because the people, they tell us how nice it looks and all, and how well the road rides. It makes me feel real good.
I want to do a job, I want to do it right, not do it wrong. I think highway people are a kind of a breed of people in themselves, and they're people that mostly have to like their work. They're dedicated people, and they're just nice people to be around.
Whiz-bang, Three Sands, ghost town names. Born in a black gold rush as a world on wheels clamored for the energy to move. A million barrels, a billion barrels. The oil flowed forth like no man could have imagined. The scene is repeated hundreds of times every day in Oklahoma. It goes on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year long. ageless oil pumped into the arteries of a new era and carried on endless highway miles.
To the hills of Oklahoma, I'll be going home someday. To the beautiful sunshine and the April-colored day. My love waits in Oklahoma, where the oak and blackjack trees, kissed by early morning dewdrops, sway in playful prairie breeze. In the land of Oklahoma, I was taught to be a man, taught to love one another, help your neighbor if you can. In that Oklahoma sunshine, where I used to play and run, I will find my darling standing in the Oklahoma sun.
Well, you go out there in a raw country and new location maybe, and you start from scratch and you clean the timber out and you build a road, and you go back 10 years later and you've got a good highway there and people's using it, and it's standing up and it's performing like it's intended to perform. It makes you feel good.
In the land of Oklahoma, I was taught to be a man, taught to love one another, help your neighbor if you can. In that Oklahoma sunshine, where I used to play and run, I will find my darling standing in the Oklahoma sun. I will find my darling standing in the Oklahoma sun.
Cities sprang up through the dust of restless wagon wheels. They built and grew. Tore down and rebuilt, each time bigger and better. Men devised new and stunning architectures, building modern schools and churches for an urban population that couldn't be contained. Complex traffic interchanges, freeways, cloverleaf intersections were designed. Despite the frantic pace of the cities, travel would remain the legacy of working men with calloused hands and their lonely vigil on a silent stretch of road.
And I went through life with a nickname of Frog Wilson. I'm better known as Frog than I am by anything else by everybody. And I started to work here. I got out of the Army in 45 and came to Guyman. My dad was working for the State Highway Department, and I'm not sure. I think he worked for the State Highway Department for probably 18 years. I know he was working for the State Highway Department when I had to take second grade over at Tyrone, Oklahoma, and he drug what's Highway 54 from the Kansas line back toward Hooker. I rode on the axle, the tail blade that he pulled with teams of horses back then. But
it gets a little rough. It gets a little hairy out here sometimes, I tell you.
This snowstorms out here, I always dread to see the winter roll around, and especially March. The last bad snows, I remember it's not been too many years ago that every weekend in March we was either cleaning off roads or pushing back snow. Through the winter I stay here, and in the summertime I go fishing, but I feel kind of obligated through the winter months. It seems like I can't even go quail hunting in Cimarron County, but or we get a snow or something comes up that I should have been here, it seems like.
I believe I hate blizzards worse. snowstorms, you know, where we have to stay out. When it's just cold, windy, you know, and you can't see a lot of times. And it's pretty dangerous. It's a little rough sometimes. We stay out, sometimes we stay out 50 hours, you know, just keep the roads open and everything. The main object is to keep the road open, you know. And sometimes it's hard to keep them open. We, you know, when the wind's blowing real bad off out in this country, you just can't keep them open all the time. But we get out just as soon as we can, you know, when the wind lets down.
Okay, folks, I'll do. 138. Pete, when you get that truck right, come on out west. It's all slick there through town. Are you still good to go,
It's had its problems, good days and bad days. When you have a bad day in a snowstorm, blizzard, well, you can always figure there'll be days like that, and there'll be days that are better and days that are worse. I've stayed with the State Highway Department. Now, unless they run me off, I'll stay like can draw Social Security in retirement, I guess.
Just been part of my life ever since I was a kid, really. I've often remarked that probably I'm the most overpaid man in the highway department.
I don't know what they'd do without us.
The shadows of the road sing the memories of the highway, where once a mountain man walked an unmarred mountain scene, where cattle drives and wagon trains and men who had gold fever, cutting ruts across the prairie, forming shadows on the road. The prairies and the hills of Oklahoma could tell you of the mighty men on the trail to Santa Fe. Tales of cowboys and roughnecks and gamblers, many a fortune won and lost, and many a debt unpaid. The shadows of the road are the men who build the highways, the men who drive the pickup trucks or haul the heavy loads, the family on vacation, the salesman far from home. They all become the image in the shadows of the road. The prairie and the hills of Oklahoma could tell you of the mighty men on the trail to Santa Fe, where truckers drive and the trains go by with men who have gold fever. They all become the image in the shadows of the road. They all become the image in the shadows of